What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is Our Take. We are your hosts. I'm Taylor.
I'm Connor.
And today we're going to be taking a look at a recently released movie from, is this one Apple?
Yeah, it was
Yeah, Apple
published,
TV
yeah.
Plus and Paramount. Killers of the Flower Moon. Before we get started, I do want to apologize that obviously we're in a completely new setting.
Yeah.
This is temporary. Ocean is away right now, so Connor and I are going to be covering this for you. And yeah. So before we do, Connor, can you talk about some of the cast members in this?
Yeah, so we got some pretty notable actors. This is a Martin Scorsese film. So there's going to be, of course, Robert De Niro. We have Leonardo DiCaprio, Lily Gladstone, Jesse Plemons, Brendan Fraser. We have Louis Cancelmi.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Cancelmi? I don't know how to say your last name, sorry. Larry Sellers, Randy Houser, John Lithgow, and we got a bunch of other people.
Yeah, I mean
those are the notable ones.
Yeah, those are a lot of the more known people. There's a lot of people in this movie, though.
Yeah, there's a ton.
And this is one of the movies that kind of like, I feel like intentionally kind of just popped up. I mean, I do remember seeing the trailer like a while back. I don't really remember for what movies, but I saw it a couple times and then I kept forgetting about it. And then I brought it up to Ocean and they made the trailer reaction for it.
Yeah.
But I did think it looked good from the trailer. So, you know.
Yeah.
Let's get our thoughts on the. Obviously, we're gonna do it as usual. We'll do spoiler free. Try to keep it short this time, unlike this movie. But as for me, I didn't really have a lot of like high expectations for it or anything. I did know it had a lot of great actors in it, and I do think a lot of them performed very well in this movie. I thought the story overall was very good. Pacing and just overall length is probably one of its biggest downfalls for me. And the ending overall.
Yeah. 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 When I saw the trailer, I figured this was gonna be like, you know, one of those really good Martin Scorsese movies that, you know, it's like a classic or something, you know?
Yeah, because he has quite a bit of, you know, really good movies.
Yeah, he's got a lot of classics. And so I was kind of expecting that going in. It wasn't that I didn't have a lot of, like, I didn't have super high expectations, but I had, like, good expectations.
Yeah, just from him as the director.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I don't know. It's just... maybe this movie is just not for me, and like no offense to anybody out there who, you know, is a part of this, the history of the story, you know, as it's like based off a true story, and I know that's important to tell that story, and yeah, like I said, no offense to any of the indigenous people who are related to this, but this movie was way too long. And yeah, the ending was not good. And I don't know, man. Like I said, maybe it's just not for me, but you know, everyone acted in it really well, and the story was a good story. Like, it was on paper really good, but in execution, I don't know. Like, it was just so unnecessarily long, and that kind of really brought it down for me. You know,
Yeah.
like it turned out to be like physically painful to continue to sit and watch this movie.
Yeah.
Like, it hurt. So it was kind of rough. Yeah, those are my thoughts. Spoiler free on that.
Okay. Well, sounds like we're similar overall with how we felt about it. I'd be curious to see how Ocean feels about it if he's able to watch it whenever he gets back. Mm-hmm. So what do you think you're going to give this movie for a score?
I don't know. I think if I'm trying to be as objective as possible, probably like a 7 out of 10, but it's really difficult. I really want to give it a 6 out of 10 because I had to like just sit there and like endure this like almost like torture by the end of the movie.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't blame you. Yeah, it was getting pretty rough near the like last like hour of just sitting there.
Yeah, like the whole like, oh God, it was just like we watched this together, and I was just like, I kept turning over to Taylor, and I was like, "What is this fucking movie, dude?" Like,
yeah,
like, oh God, and the ending is just not satisfying or done well. I don't know. The ending seemed really shoehorned in there. So
yeah, it's okay. We'll get into it like very shortly. Yeah. I'll just throw out my score real quick. Yeah, I'm actually gonna give this movie a 6, and for me, that's actually being pretty generous because I do think there's a lot of good things within this movie, as in like conceptually and like all the acting and everything, and all the like set designs and costume and everything is all like it's all great.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I just think you needed somebody to like literally just be like, okay, this is your vision of what this movie is. Mm-hmm. I'm just gonna shorten this up a lot, because you don't really need it, and that would have helped this movie a lot. Which I think would fix the two things I had the most problems with, which would be the overall length and the ending. We'll talk about the ending a little bit later, but I do want to talk about just the overall story. This is one aspect I really enjoyed about this movie, of something that I didn't really know a whole lot about for this tribe and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I had no idea about this whatsoever.
For the Osage.
Yeah.
Really cool. I think it's really unfortunate.
Super messed up story.
Yeah,
like,
it's really like, honestly, like a large majority of this movie is kind of like depressing almost.
Yeah, it is.
Just like hearing about and seeing, obviously, the kind of things that happened for the Osage tribe, and many tribes as well.
Yeah.
It just sucked, honestly, for a lot of it. And then there's moments where I did like laugh a few times. I thought it was really funny, especially with Jesse Plemons' character. I don't know if it was like supposed to be funny, but I took it as being funny.
Yeah. He kind of plays that caricature quite a bit.
Yeah,
like,
he's really
his,
good.
Like face, he just has like a certain look all the time.
Yeah, it just works so well too.
Yeah,
I love him. Robert De Niro did an amazing job in this movie, as well as Leonardo. But it's kind of to be expected.
Yeah,
at least for me.
I do have to say, I think they did an amazing job, but I think Robert De Niro is maybe getting a little up there in age, because there's points in this movie where he's just kind of like going on, and it's like,
yeah, I mean, he's definitely,
you're definitely monologuing for way too long, you know what I mean? Like, he did a really good job. Like, he acted the character really well, and a lot of his like acting caricatures and everything was really well done.
Yeah, he's an asshole in this.
Yeah, he's like the bad guy, but there were some parts where I was just kind of like, okay, you don't have to like. I mean, you've been talking for like 5 minutes straight, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean that's all he can do now.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, when he's like saying the same thing over and over, I'm like, well, okay, like, let's move on.
But I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense to me with his character because he's just kind of like a
con man kind of thing.
Yeah, a really arrogant con man. So
yeah,
but yeah, I do understand. Like overall, it's just like, all right, I get it.
Yeah, I think that's like added to the length of the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely a lot of like pieces of scenes and some scenes entirely that you could just honestly cut out altogether, or shorten it up. That would have, you know, eventually would add up to like help out this movie a lot with the length. I don't like. There's a lot of because it follows like a family specifically with Leo's character Ernest Burkhart and his shortly wife and her family.
Yeah.
I feel like they try to build up like the, you know, one by one dying, like it's really just trying to add to the like whole like shitty situation that they're in and stuff.
Yeah.
And since they do it for every single like family member, it's just like another one of those like, okay, I get it by like the third fucking sibling.
Yeah.
You don't really need to be doing this, or like.
Yeah, we'll get more into that and kind of explain what that's all about. But yeah, it's just a really long movie, and there's a lot of like monotonous scenes in this movie, and you know, I agree with the good things that you said and about the movie, and you know, they did put a lot of effort into like, you know, making this kind of story feel real,
authentic.
Yeah, feel authentic. But that might have been to the detriment of the movie.
A little too much.
Yeah, a little too much. So yeah, before we get into spoilers, after talking about it, I am gonna just say it's a 6 for me.
Okay.
It's good. Like, yeah, it's. Yeah.
But I do want to say, like I said,
I don't want to say anything.
If there were changes to this,
yeah,
before they decided to release this, I think this easily could jump up to like at least an 8.
Yeah, at least an 8. Yeah,
and then like potentially if they like, you know, really.
Yeah, I don't know if he had anybody like a producer or anything that was like on the project with him. You know, like kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there was, but like I feel like what it feels like for this movie is like. They kind of just gave him like free reign, and they were just like going along with it, which I mean I understand. Like, you know, he's made some great stuff, so it makes sense. But
yeah,
this one
maybe a little too much.
Yeah, needed to pull back on the reins a little bit.
Yeah,
to make it really good.
Yeah,
but it was still like an okay movie. It's just the length, like
it was above average.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the length, just, the length and the ending brought it down a lot.
Yeah, it really hampered it for me. But, okay, that being said, before we dive in, this is going to be your official...
Spoiler alert.
All right. What should we start with?
Well, so like we were saying earlier, this story is basically about... the Osage tribe of Native Americans that basically they settled on this land in Montana, or I'm sorry, Oklahoma. That
they were originally from was it Louisiana or something?
Yeah, and then they settled in this land on Oklahoma that they didn't know at the time, but eventually it came out that it was like filled with oil.
Yeah.
So they owned the land that all the oil was on, so they all became super rich at the time. And of course, all the people from the east of America came to get jobs and hopefully snatch
Some
that
of
money.
that money.
Yeah.
Of course.
The American white man came to take their money, and that's basically what the story's about. And it's about all these families basically battling this kind of not unstoppable, but I guess I'd say inevitable downfall.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of like your typical new, I guess I don't know about the word new, but civilization that's being westernized. Well, that term now.
Right, they're being enveloped in.
They're being brought up to the
Right, and they're
the
being
new
taken
century.
over, taken apart by
like,
all sides.
and like being colonized or whatever.
Yeah.
Because this kind of thing basically happened with like every other country we've ever done it with too. Obviously, this is more specific to this tribe.
Yeah, and it's not by the government; it's just by
just natural
yeah,
society of the
like
United
Leonardo
States.
DiCaprio and his uncle Robert De Niro. Who,
Yeah,
his uncle had owned a cattle ranch, I think.
yeah,
Before this whole oil thing boomed. And once the oil thing boomed, I guess because his land was not on any of the oil, he didn't get any of that money. So he was like, on the outside, he was like, no, that's okay. I don't need it,
yeah.
whatever. But
And he was a sheriff too,
right.
or he's the whole time he's pretty much the sheriff.
Yeah, honorary
Yeah,
deputy or whatever. But on the inside, he's like, I need to give me that money.
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
So he basically just starts hatching these insidious plans to kind of just get Leonardo DiCaprio, his nephew, to marry into a full-blood Osage woman, and that way he can get the head rights to the oil farm or the oil land. But because the Osage family is so big, obviously they all have to go.
Yeah.
So that he can get the rights, so he can stay in the family.
Yeah. It's a
And that's the whole story.
Yeah, it's a
Basically.
really slow, like, burn of like
Yeah, this movie is a slow burn.
progressing the plot because that is it.
Yeah.
But it takes like a
Forever.
realistically long, like
Yeah.
feeling.
Like, this movie takes
length.
years. Like it's like years this movie goes through.
Right. And it obviously it doesn't literally feel like years,
Yeah.
but like it feels like
Yeah.
you're kind of going through the entire like
Yeah. I think it's
life.
it's like a 5-year period or something.
because like Ernest, Leo's character, he just gets back from the Great War and then
Yeah.
moves because his uncle wants him to be there, and then starts from nothing, gets a job as a like cab driver, and then like starts driving around this girl, and then
Falls in love, marries her, and then gets
the entire time he's like consulting with his uncle,
and
which
the uncle's
is
manipulating him
yeah,
into
because he's like, oh well,
Yeah.
this actually works out in your favor.
getting the head rights. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
like the end goal of this whole manipulation,
Yeah,
which leads to him killing off his wife, the Osage lady. What was it, Molly Burkhart, Leonardo's wife? She has like 4 sisters or something, 3 sisters. She has 3 sisters,
yeah,
and then
and the mom.
and the mom and this other guy that she was married to before. So to obtain the head rights for solely Leonardo DiCaprio's family. All of them gotta go.
I mean, really, it's just for
him.
For Bill Hale, the Robert De Niro's character.
Yeah.
Like, in the end, you realize, like, he's just using him to get all the stuff for himself.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's basically the whole story, but it takes a whole long time to get there.
Yeah, this movie is
like in the
almost, like, literally just a smidge below 4 hours long.
Yeah,
and
it's just under.
It's way too long. That's way too long for this type of movie. I feel like if you're gonna make a 4-hour movie, I mean, more power to you if that's the type of movie that you want to make. But that should just be a watch at home movie, because, like, I don't know myself. I cannot sit. I couldn't do it. Like, by the end of the movie, I physically could not do it. I was like, I can't keep watching this movie. Please end it. Please end the movie.
Yeah, I felt the same. Like, right near there, I'm like, please stop. It's got to be almost done.
Yeah.
Like,
it was
honestly,
really
like, even if you were to watch this at home, like, that's still too long to me. The only time it's acceptable for me for a movie to be like almost 4 hours, and if longer, if that's even possible, it's got to be like a really, really big, like,
amazing
conclusion to something.
Yeah.
Like The Return of the King extended edition.
Yeah, it's got to be like an amazing, blow you away movie to be that long, because otherwise, it's like it feels like it wasn't worth it at all.
Yeah, like, just for like a singular story, like, it's, I don't know, it's got to be like really, really huge for me to like accept that kind of length.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that to, like, put down the whole, like, situation or anything, but it's just, that wasn't it for me.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, this wasn't like.
I mean, it wasn't awful, of course.
No,
like,
it wasn't. But it also wasn't like movie of the decade or whatever,
No. Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot of scenes in here that just didn't need to be there. The ending, we'll just go to the ending.
Dude, the ending is kind of laughable, honestly.
The ending scene was literally just shoehorned in there, I think, because they were probably like, this movie's too long already, and we can't shoot the rest of what this.
Not only that, like, it literally feels like, so the end, it just, like, the ending literally, like, changes movies for like a short clip to finish up the story.
Yeah,
and it's like, bro, we have no money, end it now.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
that's what it felt like, because it just turns into a radio show from the 50s
all of a sudden,
where they're like, there's an audience and there's a guy on a microphone
and it's just like
reading what happened to everybody in the story, and like
it's like, oh, like, she divorced him and moved on and then died at the age of blah blah blah.
Yeah, in 1879 or whatever she died, and Bill Hale, stayed in prison until 18 something and came back out and moved back to Osage County, and like, it was just like, dude. And then Martin Scorsese comes out and he starts like reading her, Molly's obituary or whatever, which, like, I get it, it's important that she's remembered, but that was such a half-ass cop-out way to do that.
Yeah,
like
that,
he literally just walked out to the microphone and was like, and her obituary just says this, and there's nothing on it.
Doesn't state anything else.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
You obviously didn't have either it was too long for you to film that, actually, or you just, I don't know if you ran out of money.
Yeah.
Probably not ran out of money. It's probably whoever was overseeing him was finally like this is too long.
This is it.
Yeah. So they didn't film any of that stuff. Like, basically, after the resolution of the movie, where they have this big court battle, and Bill Hale, Robert De Niro, ends up being charged and convicted for these murders and goes to jail, and so does his nephew, Leonardo DiCaprio. Leonardo DiCaprio's wife divorces him because he was poisoning her the whole time because she has diabetes, and he was given insulin to give her, but he was actually putting poison in the insulin.
Yeah, like it was initially it was insulin, and then of course another plan of Bill Hill is like,
Right,
yeah,
Bill Hill
add
was
this
like,
to it.
Here, I'll just make her sleepy and
slow her down.
yeah. Leonardo DiCaprio's character in this movie is very dumb.
Yeah, he's really, really stupid.
Yeah, he's really stupid. So he doesn't make any good decisions. Anything anyone tells him to do, he's just like, okay.
Yeah.
And then
he basically only does one thing ever for himself throughout the entire movie, and that's when he decided to marry Molly.
right.
And then everything else was just up to the uncle.
Yeah. Well, sort of. I mean, sort of. His uncle kind of was like, you should marry this girl so that we can get the head rights.
Yeah, but I mean, he wanted to, because he actually loved her.
Yeah, but there's still that in the background.
Yeah.
Of
for,
like,
for
that's
Bill,
what's going
it's
to happen.
like, oh, like,
Yeah.
you're going to do this. But again, it's just him influencing him.
Yeah. Yeah, and so yeah, after the court case and everything gets settled, it's basically where everyone ended up after that court case or court battle. And it's just a radio talk show of this one dude just talking about what happened, reading off a paper.
It's a very strange, like...
Yeah.
Like, having something like that itself is not a problem. Because, like... I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind that was recent is Asteroid City had something like that.
Yeah.
But that movie is entirely designed around that.
Yeah.
Where it's, like, meant to be a play on itself. Whereas this...
Yeah, the movie feels like a play.
You had an entire movie.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, for the end, you're like... And the end.
And it was actually a radio show the whole time.
Yeah.
It's like
okay.
Okay. Yeah. Super, like, out of left field. Super disappointing.
Yeah.
Um,
Like, honestly, that's
that
probably what... Actually, maybe that's what kind of ruins it more for me. Because, like, long length, okay. Like, I don't like it, but I can handle it if the movie's actually good.
yeah.
But the
end it
ending...
like that, yeah.
To end it like that and for it to be that long...
Yeah, it feels like you
that's
just
not
wasted
okay.
your time.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
like,
kind of... Yeah, I don't know. It's a joke.
Yeah.
But it's a really bad joke.
Yeah, this might be a hot take. I don't know. Maybe this movie got, like, amazing reviews, but...
Not sure, but...
I can't, like... It was bad. It was, like... I literally couldn't focus on the movie. By, like, the last hour, I was like... When is this fucking movie over, dude? Like...
Yeah.
I know what's gonna happen. You know what I mean? Once you hit the like beginning of the last hour, you know everything that's gonna happen.
Right, you're just waiting for it to happen.
Yeah.
'Cause, like, so the story isn't complicated.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's like, it's so long. It's like, all right, I'm like sitting here like, dude, I still gotta wait for this sister to die.
Yeah.
This sister to die. That person's gonna die. Like,
Yeah.
obviously
by the time
he's gonna
everyone-
get caught.
Yeah.
Because the FBI is here.
Yeah.
Like,
Once the FBI gets there, it's like, okay, I know what's gonna happen. Like, they're gonna get caught.
obviously.
And then, like, right at the point where they acknowledge that, like, we got him. You know what I mean? When they're all sitting in that circle in the field, all the agents talking to each other while Bill Hill, like, burns his farm or whatever. I was like, okay, so just get, like, that, we're good. Like, because you know what's gonna happen. They're, like, it just ends up, like, it's just, like, right after that scene, it's just a fucking slog. It's just, like, his wife's just like, oh, you're next. And he's like, I fucking hate myself, man. And he's like, you know, like, and it's just, like, dude, okay. It's just everyone wallowing in their, like, guilt and everything. It's like, okay, I get it. Yes, that happens. But, like, I don't need to see everyone going, like, just arrest them and get it over with. Because, like, I'm sorry. Like I said, no offense to anybody. I get this is a very important true story. But that just did not... It was just too long.
Yeah. Because this movie, it gives a lot of screen time to everybody. You know, like all the side characters and everything, and they're all great.
Yeah.
But it's just too much. Like, too much.
Yeah, it is. Like, it just, yeah, I don't know. There's so many, like, it's not like the whole hour, it's not like the whole last hour of the movie needs to be cut, like, completely, but there's just you could have cut it down. You know,
for sure.
To tell the same story, you could have cut it down without these like I don't need to know.
I think you still could have had the same like overall effect with less screen time.
Yeah, because it wasn't even. It was just the last hour was just about basically Leonardo DiCaprio and Bill Hale and the trial.
Yeah.
So it's like I get it. They've been caught. They're about to get arrested, and they're going to go through all this stuff. So I don't need to see Leonardo DiCaprio go back and forth between I'm gonna
do the right thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do the wrong thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna
do the right thing.
That's so stupid, dude. I was like, oh my god, do I really like?
Yeah, I'm sure it's realistic,
Yeah.
but
Like he's like, he gets caught by the federal government. Of course, he's just like, oh no, I didn't do that. And then they're like, oh well, we got the guy, and we caught you in the act. And he's like, oh okay, well you got me. And he's like, okay, I guess I'll testify against my uncle for the federal government. And they're like, okay, do you want to be in witness protection? Okay, yes. Okay, and they go into witness protection or whatever, and then they go to the trial, and then Brendan Fraser's there, and Brendan Fraser's like, he's my client. I haven't spoken to him in 2 months. He's been missing for 2 months. And you didn't even know that this whole thing has been going on for 2 months. That's like, I was like, oh my god, dude. And then it's like, and then he's like, I need to speak with my client. And the other guy's like, this is unprecedented. The prosecution cannot speak with the defense as a client. That doesn't mean it. And then the judge is like, Ernest, Mr. Burkhart, what are you? And Ernest is like, well, I guess I'll talk to him.
it's like, dude, are you retarded?
Yeah, and then
why?
they meet up, and he goes and talks to him at the house, and he's like, son, you got to do the right thing and not testify against your uncle.
You dumb boy.
Yeah,
that was the worst fucking line. I love that they had Brendan Fraser, and he was really good. But that one fucking line they gave him was so dumb.
Yeah, it was like, dude, like. And then he's like, oh, okay, yeah. They beat me. Yeah, the federal government did beat me, and they tortured me.
No, say they beat you. Like,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then he's like, okay, yeah, I'll testify with my uncle against the federal government. And then they go back, and he's like, I'm not going to testify for you, federal government. And they're like, okay, you're under arrest. And then they get to the jail, and he's in there for I don't even know how long, whatever. Couple months or something, and then after all that, and then his daughter dies, and he's like, "Oh my god, my daughter died. Never mind, I'm gonna testify against Bill Hale."
He's like, "All right, dude."
And then they go back to jail, and then he talks to Bill Hale, and then they go back to the courtroom, and he testifies against him. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. It's like, okay, do we really need all of that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it just feels like there's so much filler in this movie.
Yeah, like what I just said in the past like 10 minutes, if that's like bored you, then that's exactly how the movie is when you watch it.
Yeah.
So it's just like, God, it's just I don't understand. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's really weird too because like there are sections that are really good, and they're like whenever the FBI first come in and you're introduced to like Jesse Plemons and his team,
yeah,
it's moving really fast. Like he starts, like going around interviewing everybody, and and then it just slows to like
yeah, and then you're like just wading through maple syrup. It's like,
it's just like oh
yeah, no, you're right, and like there's really good scenes in here. There's really good like sections of the movie. And then in between those sections, there's just really drawn out.
Yeah. Like, even if you wanted to keep every single death, right?
Yeah.
Bro, they literally have, like, so many conversations. Like, all right, so who's the guy we need? You got to meet up with AC. No, what is his name?
Oh, my, yeah, dude.
You got to meet up with Henry Graham. So they got to go to Henry Graham's moonshine farm. And then they'd be like, hey, Henry, like, who we need a guy for a job. Do you got a guy? Yeah, you might want to ask, what the hell is his name?
Ace.
Well, he was the guy that ends up doing a lot of the jobs for them.
Blackie?
Not him. He was the first guy, but the one that Leo always talks to.
John?
Was it John?
I don't know, John something.
Yeah,
but the old guy.
Hey, it's like, oh, you gotta talk to him, and then they talk
Yeah,
to
and
him,
then
and
the
he's like,
old
oh,
guy's
you gotta
like-
go talk to AC Kirby.
Yeah.
And you gotta go talk to Blackie, whatever. It's just like, dude, just get to the job. Like,
Yeah.
don't even. This entire conversation doesn't need to happen.
Yeah, every time a
just
job...
go from, hey, this is what we gotta do.
Yeah, and it's not just one time. Every time a job
Every
needs to,
single
yeah,
time.
every time a job has to happen,
They come
they
back.
go through the entire conversation process of like who they're talking
They
to,
go
who's the
here.
job,
They talk
who that
about
guy
it.
talks to, who this guy talks to, who's gonna go back and talk to Hale, who Hale is talking to Leonardo DiCaprio, and who Leonardo DiCaprio from Hale is going to talk to this guy. It's like, oh my god, dude, just like you said, just get to it, because it's like, I don't need to know all this stuff, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's obvious, you just say,
You could have literally just go from, like, if you have the initial conversation and be like, I know just the guy. And then you could just cut straight to him doing the damn thing.
Yeah.
Of, like, setting up the bombs or blowing people up or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need all the fucking boring shit that's, like, in real life in between.
yeah, you're right. It's like, it's super monotonous. Super
And
monotonous.
it's, like, you know what's weird or funny now that I think about it? If this entire movie was in a game, it would be fine, because every single fucking thing would be a quest within itself.
Yeah.
But I don't want to watch that.
Yeah, no, it's like, it is like...
It's like you're just doing fetch quests.
Yeah, it's like you're watching a fetch quest like walkthrough or something,
Yeah.
where there's like no commentary and
It's
it's
just
like
constant, like, you're never getting to the
walking
main
around.
point.
Yeah, and it's
It's
just
just far off in the distance, like, that's the goal, but
yeah. And then like
yeah,
some
you
of
gotta
the
go all
like
these different
even
fucking
some
ways.
of the like jobs or crimes are super drawn out. Like the one where he's got to like kill Henry or whatever,
the
Indian
suicidal guy.
Yeah. Oh my god,
dude, yeah, I thought that was very strange. Like, it makes sense when you think about it, but
Right,
I
but
thought
I
it was
don't need
very
to-
strange to portray that on screen of, like, because the guy gets tasked with the job of killing this guy, right? And
Yeah.
he's already suicidal.
And then it switches to him narrating
He's
the
monologuing.
job that he's doing.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, I tried to, I met up with him, and then we went out drinking, but then I couldn't do it, so then,
Yeah.
this went on for
Then
some...
we became friends.
Yeah, then
and
we
then I
became
started.
friends for a while, and then I finally got the courage, worked up the courage to do it, so I called him out again.
Yeah, and it
then-
like shows
and
them like
then
scenes
it-
of hanging out, drinking, and it's like this whole like a week.
Yeah. It feels like a month.
Yeah.
It's probably a week. And then he's like, yeah, I finally got the courage to do it. And then when it actually happens, it's like seconds. It's like, like literally like of Mice and Men level. Like,
Yeah,
here's the bottle, bro. And
Yeah.
then right from the back. And then it's like, dude. And this is to make it fair for Ernest and Bill. The
Yeah.
instructions were clear,
yeah,
but you probably forgot it because it was like 2 months ago.
yeah.
Because
Yeah,
you
they were like-
befriended this dude.
They were literally told him when they told him
Make
to
it
do the
look
job.
like a suicide.
Make it look like a suicide. He's already
One from the
melancholy.
front.
Yeah, he's like shoot him in the front of the head.
And leave
Front of
the gun.
head. And leave the gun. And he does
Couldn't-
none of that.
No, he does the opposite of that. And it's
Yeah.
like,
And it's like, okay,
you
obviously
didn't
it's
take-
because he's like hanging out with this dude for a freaking month.
yeah, clear. Obviously, you forgot the fucking job. It's like, damn, how did you even remember to kill the damn dude?
Yeah. It's
It's,
ridiculous, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
So
a whole lot of that crap in this movie.
yeah, those are just examples, but there is a lot. There's a lot of that stuff in this
And
movie.
I think it's just trying to like really like to make you like attached to certain characters or whatever, to just
Yeah,
build
it
them up. But
feels
it's
so
like,
like broken up. Like when I'm like thinking about it, and it's like it feels like Martin Scorsese's like putting like bits and pieces of his other movies in here. Like sometimes people are narrating, and then nobody's narrating, and then. But it's like they're either narrating Goodfellas way, or they're narrating in like the third person radio show way.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's like it's so weird. You can't just I don't know. It just feels like you just kind of like it's so out of left field, you know what I mean? It's so out of place. Like it just kind of comes out of nowhere. There's one guy just narrating himself, and then that's it. Like, that guy just narrated his job, and then there was no narration for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, and then he's just back to being his side character.
Yeah, and then it's just back to being, like, the movie. I was like... And then you don't even, like, who's this guy talking to?
I don't know.
Like, because he's talking to somebody.
And it's like, is this supposed to be like a fucking fourth wall break or something?
Yeah, I don't know. It just felt like really, like, just kind of, just smashed up. I don't know.
Yeah. So, that all being said, like I said, the biggest thing this movie needs is focus.
Yeah.
They just needed somebody to take what he had and just really, really narrow it in to make it a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah, this movie could have easily been like 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Yeah. And I think it would have been a lot better.
Yeah.
Because if you cut out all the extra bullshit, it would have been a much more enjoyable movie.
Yeah, like the indigenous people scenes are good, and like, you know, they're emotional and impactful. And even though there's a couple of those that feel kind of like they're dragging a little bit, they're still entertaining from the perspective that they're giving. But like the monotonous dragging out scenes that have to do with Bill Hale and Leonardo DiCaprio's like plans, doesn't bring anything like interesting. Like, I know what's happening. Yeah. I've seen mafia movies. I know what's going on.
Right. Like you don't need to, like, if you're like, hey, I need you to hit a guy. Okay, most people understand what that means. And like you can picture all that stuff without them showing it to you.
Yeah, like a good example is they have like a scene with just all of the like head families of the Osage people or the Osage Nation.
Yeah.
In a meeting, they're like in a circle in a meeting.
Yeah.
And the meeting goes on for quite a bit. But like, it wasn't like I was like, that didn't feel super monotonous to me, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it had a lot of,
because it had a lot of character.
Like that has a lot of meaning to it.
Right. It had a lot of character, and they were talking about what's happening to their people.
Yeah.
Or their community, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Like, scenes like that definitely feel like a lot better overall.
Yeah, and by that point,
do have thoughts about like their opinions in general, but that's not not for this conversation. But
like that compared to the like planning out the jobs,
billion of like conversations of Ernest and Bill talking to people.
Yeah, so like you can do it good, but you just didn't. I don't know. Like,
it was just too much.
Yeah, it was just too much.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like, end of the day, like, it was just too much, bro.
Yeah, it was.
Even with all that, like I said, it was still pretty good. It's just, it could have been a lot better.
Yeah, it could have been way better.
Yeah.
It was good, but it could have been like really, really good if they had just cut out all this.
Like, especially
bullshit.
Considering like we talked about like how much great acting was done by everybody. Honestly,
yeah, powerful performances.
Everything was designed really well and stuff, and like all like the entire production was just great.
Yeah,
you had all this great stuff, and it's like, damn, what a shame.
Yeah, it is. It does. It feels like, and I just kind of just wasted, like I said, you feel by the end of it like I just wasted my time, which you shouldn't feel by the end of this movie. You should feel like, wow, that was powerful. Like,
shit, you probably feel about that way about watching this video about the movie.
Yeah, exactly. It's just monotonous. That's how it feels. I feel like I'm just repeating myself over and over this whole time because it's like that's what the movie does. Yeah. So yeah. That's all I gotta say about it.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good for us. Yeah, I mean, if you're a Martin Scorsese fan, like, I'm sure you're gonna watch it. Hopefully, you enjoy it more than we did.
Yeah.
I did enjoy a lot of aspects about this movie. I just really wish it was a little bit better, because I could, like
more
we talked
concise.
about, it could definitely be a lot better. And if it was, I think this could be up there with, like, as definitely like winning awards for certain things and stuff.
Oh, for sure.
But
I mean, I'm sure it's gonna still win.
I mean,
awards,
yeah, I'm sure it's still gonna win awards for, like, certain. Obviously, there's a lot of categories.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody in this movie is like one of these actors has got to win something.
Yeah.
But could have been better.
Yeah.
So that's all I got.
That's all I got.
Yeah, that'll do it for us here on Our Take. Thank you guys for watching. Please comment down below if you've watched this movie. Let us know what you thought about it. If you have any new, if there's any new trailers or anything that is coming out that you would like us to cover that we have not yet, please let us know. I do have one in mind that came out, or that we saw whenever we watched this movie.
Yeah.
As always, links to our socials will be down in the description below. Please give a like if you like the video and share with a friend. Otherwise, we will catch you guys next time. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.